Do you remember when VP Harris debated Trump and she told us what it was going to be like under a second Trump administration? Do you remember that? Roll that clip.
Donald Trump has no plan for you.
Nope.
And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people.
Yep.
I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession.
Everything she said is coming true. Every point that she brought up there. And this country had an opportunity to avoid all of this. But too many of you lived in your fear and your bigotry and hatred toward the thought of a woman president. And now we're all paying for that. You farmers, all you Trumpers out there that are losing your jobs, you're losing your farm. If you would have voted for her, you would have kept it. The next time some brilliant, smart individual's telling you what a corrupt individual like Donald Trump's going to do, I hope to God you listen. Because it's going to cost you everything. Because Donald Trump is not going to come save your day. Moderate out.
All right, TikTok. I got a few things, just a very short list of things that y'all got to tell me, because I don't understand it. I don't understand what's happening. So y'all tell me. First of all, tariffs. Why are y'all mad about the tariffs? I hear y'all saying it's the stock market, but the top 1% owns over 50% of the stock market. The next 50% of the stock market is owned by the top 12%, and the rest of us are in debt. So why are y'all worried about the stock market? None of y'all got any money in the stock market. Okay, that's the first one. Second thing with the tariffs. Why are y'all beasting to buy shit from China? Why are you so excited to have a whole bunch of cheap shit in your house that's breaking all the time from China, while China has nothing in their house from you? What's that about? Somebody explain it to me, because I don't understand it. Okay, so tariffs is basically when we charge any other country to bring products into our country to sell their products here. The reason that we are upside down on this game is because they charge us to bring our products there, so we don't send any products there. But we don't charge them to bring anything here, so they send all their shit to us, and we are the biggest consumers, suckers in the entire world. So why are y'all so excited to pay another country to make all of your goods, including saline, including medications, including life-saving treatments? Why? Why do you guys want another country to make that for you? I don't understand it. Explain it to me. Oh, if we don't let them make it for us, the price of everything is going to go up. What are you talking about? You can make it here. And anything you choose to make here, people get paid to make it here, so it's going to stimulate the economy. You make it make sense to me. We are the adults in the room. Make the tariff conversation make sense to me. Why are y'all so desperate to give your money to another country? Why? Let's table that. Moving on. The border. Is there a reason why y'all are desperate to let people that we don't know anything about into this country? Is there a reason why you want a percentage of your tax dollars to be spent on food and housing vouchers for people that we have not cleared at all to live on our streets? Why do you want that? No. Make it make sense to me, because I'm confused. You want the cost of all of our rents to go up because the government is giving subsidized loans and vouchers to illegal people who live in this country. Why do you think that's the best thing for us in our future? Why do you think you're building a good future for your children that way? Mind you, as we're letting not even letting, thank you, Trump, not even letting. As we have let all of these people into the country, all it's done is deter and slow down the process of the people who are trying to do it correctly. A process that they could have completed in 3 to 5 years has now been pushed back 15, 20 years. They're waiting patiently because they're following the law. But you guys want us to make space for the people who crossed the border and broke the law. The first thing they did was break the law by crossing the border. Why? I'm waiting for the adults in the room. What are y'all talking about? I'm getting so frustrated because what are y'all talking about? We had over 20 million people rush over the border in 4 years. And now you're telling us that it's not right to send them back over the border unless they get due process. Why do they deserve due process? Are they citizens? Are they law-abiding? The first thing you did was break the law. Now you think that we're supposed to make concessions for you while we're busy fighting for our lives? I'm confused. I'm asking all the adults in the room, what are you talking about? So we'll leave that. That's the border. Next conversation. My body, my choice. Do you guys know why they started saying reproductive freedom instead of my body, my choice? Anybody want to give an answer? Because before, when they said my body, my choice, that also included vaccines. My body, my choice means I don't give a damn what you're talking about. If I'm not comfortable putting it in my body, I get to say no with impunity. They decided that wasn't okay. No, that we're in the middle of a national healthcare crisis. You don't get a choice. You'll lose your job. You'll lose your livelihood. You'll lose everything you ever had if you don't follow our rules. Obey. That's why it's no longer my body, my choice. That's why it's called reproductive freedom. And free to do what? Free to do what? This is an economic issue, okay? Because, how do I want to say it? Clock it. The cost of an abortion is roughly $455 with no insurance. The cost of childcare for 1 week in this country is $300 to $400 a week. You're telling me it costs almost the same to eliminate the child as it costs to send them to childcare for 1 week? And you think that this is happening because people are just so excited to throw kids away? It's an economic issue. We are at an economic disadvantage. All the adults in this country, you are at an economic disadvantage. The government puts you at that economic disadvantage. The Democrats invited the migrants here, and now these people are flying overseas to see if they could go get their migrants back. What? What? I need adults to come and make this make sense to me because this feels so black and white. Black and white? This feels so... Every single day I go and I watch the news and I just be sitting there like, I know we on a game show. I know we being punked. Because for anyone who's using any critical thinking or discernment, I feel like this is such a clear conversation. All y'all running on the internet talking about there's no jobs. I got laid off. There's no job. What industry are you in? I could give you about 6 industries right now that are desperate for workers. But since y'all don't want to go to school, y'all don't want to learn no trades, y'all don't want no new skills, y'all want to sit here and act like you just going to keep going for minimum wage jobs, all these service jobs, and they always going to be sitting there waiting for you. How? There's a nursing shortage. There's a doctor shortage. There's an imaging tech shortage. There's a plumber shortage. There's an electrician shortage. There's a childcare shortage. The reason childcare is so expensive is because we don't have enough daycare centers. Anybody you want to be a business owner? You want to be an entrepreneur? You want to open up a business? We need childcare centers. What are y'all talking about? Yes, we're in the middle of a tariff war. It's going to be my God, it's like you guys have never done spring cleaning before. Like, you don't understand the concept of having to gut everything out of your house, start from scratch, and then put everything back once you get all the bad shit out. You couldn't imagine? Do you know how... Yo, I've been talking for too long anyway. And I've been gone for too long, which is why I am just so bottled up with confusion. But no, this message is for all the adults in the room. I want an adult to come and tell me what is going on. Where is your critical thinking skills? Why are you not interested in doing what's best for you and your future? Why are you so desperate to give this country away to migrants in China? You don't have no pride? Somebody got to give me the answer. Somebody got to give me the answer.
We have some big news right now. MAGA Republicans on the internet are really upset over the new Pope after his Twitter account was essentially exposed to the world. Republicans across the internet are calling the Pope anything from Marxist to someone who shouldn't have been elected in the first place to someone who's not a good Catholic. The reason why is because of retweets like these, where he retweeted a tweet saying Trump's bad hombres line fuels racism and nativism. He said another tweet, I stand with the dreamers and all people who are working toward an immigration system that is fair, just, and moral. These are retweets from the new Pope. He also retweeted Chris Murphy, a Democratic senator, who said, to my colleagues, your cowardice to act cannot be whitewashed by thoughts and prayers. This is referring to gun violence and gun reform. Well, MAGA Republicans are really upset right now because it appears as though this Pope is at least ready to criticize Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And while it's not making good news in their circles on the internet right now, I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack about this, so subscribe for free at the link in my bio, spread the word, and follow along, stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. There'll be more to come.
So the announcement came out today. The announcement we've all been waiting for was going to be one of the biggest announcements in American history, is what we were told. And it turned out it was a trade deal with our 8th largest trading partner. You know, and of course, you know, trade deals with any country are good. But to say biggest deal ever, like, come on, let's be real. But the real question I have, because everyone is saying, see, tariffs work, see, tariffs work. These are the same people that were saying the tariffs were going to eliminate our income tax and bring manufacturing back to the United States. So, of course, I have questions. I have questions. How does making a car built in the UK cheaper in the United States bring manufacturing back to the United States or eliminate income tax? And what cars do we buy from the UK? A Bentley, Lotus, McLaren, Rolls-Royce. Are you seeing a pattern? But hey, you guys got the Mini. If you want a Mini, yeah. So your Rolls-Royce will be a little bit cheaper. Awesome. And we can sell cars to the UK, but with the UK's strict emission requirements, that leaves out most auto manufacturers. They would probably only be able to sell EVs over there, and guess what? They can already do that. Yeah. And, this isn't a terrible deal or nothing, but what's being delivered from these deals is nothing that we were told we were trying to get. You know what I mean? There's no additional manufacturing. There's no additional jobs. There's certainly no elimination of income taxes in this deal. And if this deal is the foundation for all future deals, there won't be any of that in future deals either. What I'm saying is this government and this administration is not that much unlike previous governments and administrations. They way overpromise and underdeliver. We see it with this UK deal. We saw it with the overtime bill, the no taxes on overtime that came out today. You're still going to pay taxes on overtime. They're just going to give you a tax deduction at the end of the year, if you qualify. Good luck with that part. And in the big picture, I think this all goes back to what we all expect and want from our government, from our leaders, and that is some transparency and some honesty. And like I said, it's not that this is a bad deal. It's not a bad deal. It's just, this isn't what we were told. This isn't what we were promised. This isn't what we, crashed the economy for. Well, the economy hasn't crashed yet, but they say it's going to. That's yet to be decided. I just feel like this is a kind of deal that could have been done with a phone call without tanking everyone's 401ks and freaking people out. Maybe it's just me. And I feel like this whole huge spectacle was made to reach a trade deal that's just an average, everyday, ho-hum type of deal. Like it doesn't meet the hype. Thanks.
So the United Kingdom have embarrassed Donald Trump by announcing a trade deal 6 hours before he was supposed to announce it at 10 o'clock this morning Eastern Standard Time. And so there's Trump's big announcement about a big, huge trade deal has already been announced by the Brits. Very interesting. We don't know the real details of this, but we know that they've said that Keir Starmer is going to make an announcement this morning about that. So a little bit embarrassing because the big surprise is over. It's the United Kingdom. And apparently Trump is fuming that he wasn't allowed to give the announcement first. This information, folks, comes from Downing Street Public Relations and CNN. Folks, my name is Nick. Let me know what you think in the comments. Love you guys to give me.
We don't care about your opinion. You aren't Albertan. We're leaving. Stop whining. You got your woke hellscape just like you wanted. Be happy, most conservatives will now be gone. Enjoy your utopia. Pause for a second, guys. I want you to digest this before I tear it apart. Are you ready? Number 1, pretending not to care about my opinion while writing an entire paragraph in my comment section doesn't sell as much as you think it should. Number 2, you aren't Albertan. Are we just naming things now? Black leather jacket, white shirt, excellent haircut. Are we all caught up? Does that make you feel more comfortable in this conversation? Or does my understanding of the Canadian Constitution make you incredibly uncomfortable as I apply it to the legislative issues surrounding Alberta? Number 3, part A, we're leaving? Who's we? Is it the voices in your head that's leaving, or do you have a friend? I'm just curious who I should be signing papers for so we can sweep you on out of there. 3, part B, stop whining? I don't think I ever whine. Maybe when Buffy got canceled, because that was a really good show and it should really come back, and it hurts my heart a little bit, but I sure as heck don't whine when I'm proving my point to people like you. 3C, you got your woke hellscape. That would make a really good name for a band. If only I knew how to play the guitar. Number 4, be happy, most conservatives will be gone. Listen, hun, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I can understand that you have validated my goal as an educator, as a social media justice advocate, to educate, to elevate the critical analytical skills of everybody within Canada, so we can ensure that looking back isn't done consistently because we have better ideas moving forward. I appreciate you. And number 5, enjoy your utopia. We sure will.
Follow.
Donald Trump just got called out for being desperate to his face by a reporter, completely ruining his announcement of his first trade deal. Now, if you missed it, Donald Trump announced yesterday that he had a trade deal done with the UK, the first since he started his trade war. But then today, during the press conference, he made it clear that the deal wasn't done yet, that it was still being finalized and it would be concluded in the coming weeks. A reporter caught on to that and asked him this.
Are you overstating the reach and significance of this deal because you're a president who needs a result at a difficult time?
Yeah, he is overstating the deal. He is overstating what he accomplished because Donald Trump is desperate. Right now, he understands the economy is collapsing, and he boasted 90 deals in 90 days, but he has yet to get one done. And today in his announcement, he restated he still doesn't have this deal done. He was just desperate to make it look like he's doing something. And good on that reporter, of course it was an American reporter, for calling him out.
Hey, y'all, come a little closer. I have some information that I want to share with you. This is something that you're not going to find, information that you're not going to find on CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, or any other channel. This is something that they don't want you to know. So what they'd like for you to pay attention to is this deal between the United States and Britain on this tariff regime that they've just formulated. They were hyping that. They're also hyping the fact that they're in talks with China, and there are a number of things that are going on that sound positive. The result is you have all of the indexes going up. You have the Dow, you have the NASDAQ, and you have the S&P all booming. Everything looks gravy. Everything is amazing, right? Well, at the moment, everything is great. But quietly, behind the scenes, just as I've always been saying, this is a pump and dump environment. You have the hedge funds that are seeing all of this crazy volatility, who are actually dumping $30 billion of equities and moving into more safety. They realize that volatility is good for their profitability. And they're not interested in the headlines. They're interested in you being interested in the headlines and you pouring all of your life savings into these stocks, the equities, the ETFs. And what they'll do is they'll wait on the sideline, and then they will dump when you start to pump. When you follow the headlines, they are dumping. And when you see that the headlines are a fake, a head fake, they will come in and buy because the stock market is going to go down. So ladies and gentlemen, be careful. These folks are playing a game that we are not playing. We are losing the game and they are winning.
I'm going to say the meanest thing I could possibly say to these Trump voters posting self-pity videos because they're suffering due to his policies. Now, I don't do personal attacks, so I'm just going to tell you the truth, because sometimes the truth hurts. You don't get to complain. You definitely don't get to complain about the lack of leadership or ideas coming from Democrats, because we didn't do this to us. You did this to us. If you and I are driving down the interstate together and you reach over and grab the wheel and you steer us into a 200-foot deep ravine full of lava and sharks because you think big interstate is corrupt and you thought it would be funny to shake things up, when I scream at you as lava sharks eat our legs, you don't get to be mad at me for being mad at you, because it was my idea to stay on the interstate and it was your idea that ruined everything for both of us. You don't get to ask what Democrats would do differently with the economy. You don't get to ask what Democrats are doing to help us right now. Those are 2024 questions. But we're in 2025 consequences. This era of the United States right now, this is about the president you elected, the cabinet secretaries your Senate confirmed, the cowering Republicans you elected to obey him in Congress, and all of the very real consequences resulting. We told you these things were going to happen and we gave you lots of warnings, but you grabbed the wheel anyway. If you want to know what Democrats would do differently, look at the track record going back to the Great Depression. Economic growth, job growth, wage growth, retirement plan growth, all of these things have been better under Democratic leadership than Republican. If you like these things, you vote for Democrats because it's what Democrats do. I don't care if you like the Democratic candidate. I don't even care if you understand how the policies work. And I'm not going to ask you if you believe me, because every chart and every graph that matters at the highest level for the middle class proves me right over the past 100 years. I'm only going to ask you that over the next year and a half, you come to grips with this fact so you don't make the same mistake again.
All right, you guys, we have a new pope. We have a new pope, babe. What's his name?
Leo.
Pope Leo. And he's from Chi-Town. He is from Chicago, went to Villanova. We have an American pope, you guys. And he went to Villanova, lived in Philadelphia. He might even be a Birds fan. And I know an American pope might send shivers down the spine of many of you, but he's not the worst. His name is Robert Prevost. If you want to do your own deep dive, he's chosen the name Pope Leo. I'm wondering what that birth chart looks like. The choice of the name Pope Leo itself is a political move, and he is considered progressive. He's pro-climate. He's not as anti-gay as a lot of the other contenders. Wants homosexuality to be decriminalized globally. He's pro-climate, and he might be a Birds fan. I don't know. I feel like this is a win. And he's Latino. Pope Leo is a Peruvian citizen and served in Peru as an archbishop. So I don't know. I'm feeling good. More than anything, the conservative Catholics that I know are pissed. So I do feel like we are in good standings. And on top of all of that, he was more or less personally appointed by Pope Francis. So the agenda that Pope Francis has set forward for the church will hopefully be carried into this next era. And listen, when I say that he's considered progressive, I mean considered progressive within the Catholic Church, so please don't come for me. Pope Leo is also a certified J.D. Vance hater, having written an op-ed saying that J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus does not ask us to rank our love of other people. So we've got an American Pope, who has already been critical of the Trump administration, who served in Latin America, who was homie bestie gals with Pope Francis. I don't know. You guys, this could be good.
It definitely could be worse.
It could be worse. It could absolutely be worse. We could have had a Pope Trump, and we don't. So I'm thrilled.
Towards the end of April, Donald Trump held a fundraiser that cost $1 million per plate. And that's how they list it, but really it's $1 million per person. So if you wanted to attend Donald Trump's little fundraiser, get to hear him up on stage, barely be able to string a sentence together, you had to pay $1 million for it. 11 days after that $1 million a plate fundraiser, 11 days later, Donald Trump thought, you know what? $1 million ain't enough. So this past Monday, May 5th, Donald Trump held a $1.5 million per plate fundraiser. And he raised millions upon millions of dollars, just like he did at the previous fundraiser. He has another one coming up on May 22nd for the top 220 investors in his meme coin, and that's going to net him even more money as more and more folks go to buy up as much as they can so they can get this special invite and win the grand prize of listening to a man with dementia yell at them. But all of this kind of underscores a bigger point. Donald Trump, regardless of what he says, regardless of the merch he is selling of Trump 2028, he can't run for office again. And after serving as president of the United States, it's unlikely that he would want to go anywhere and run for House or Senate or governor or dog catcher or whatever. He's pretty much not going to hold office at the end of this term. I don't even think he's going to be mentally capable of holding office at the end of the term, because I don't think he's mentally capable of holding office today. But that's something I've talked about in plenty of other segments. Here's the thing. He is raising all this money. He is taking these millions and millions and millions of dollars from these big-time Republican donors. And unlike Elon Musk, who does seemingly have an infinite amount of money that he can spend on anyone, these other donors don't, right? They do have limits. So there is a finite amount of money that they can give to Republicans because they can't bankrupt themselves buying politicians. But instead of spending that money to get Republicans elected across the country, they're giving it to a man who can't even run for office again. So what Donald Trump is effectively doing here is screwing over, quite literally, the next generation of potential Republican leaders. He is starving them of that donor money so that he can be the one to dole it out. Which means if we get a moderate Republican out there who says, you know what, I like Republican ideals, I don't like where the Republican Party is, I'm definitely not a liberal, but I'd like to run for office. Well, good luck with that, because you're not going to be able to get the money from the donors because they've given it all to Donald Trump. Oh, there'll be crumbs to spread around, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying these people aren't going to be able to raise a dollar, but they're not going to get the big money because that's now sitting in Donald Trump's war chest. So if these candidates across the country want to get their hands on that money that Donald Trump is hoarding like smog now, what he's going to have to do, or she's going to have to do, is go to Mar-a-Lago and kiss the ring. They will have to basically make themselves subservient to Donald Trump in order to get their hands on this Republican donor money that, again, he is hoarding. Because he can't use it. He's not going to use it to run for a lower office than President of the United States. So that is what Trump is doing here. Every time we see these fundraisers, this isn't about Donald Trump, it's not just, I should say, about Donald Trump getting money from people and then giving them special favors. It's about Donald Trump taking money away from the future of the Republican Party. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't have a problem with that. I really genuinely do not. I hope Donald Trump keeps doing it. I'd like to see him bump that number up. Let's go $2 million a plate. Let's go $3, $4, $5 million a plate, Donald. Bleed those donors dry while they give money to a guy that can't run for office again. Because Republicans are already facing a political wipeout, according to Republicans, in next year's midterms. And that wipeout is going to be far bigger than anybody is predicting.
I'd like to tackle the big question. Is Trump a globalist? I say no. Is he completely free from them? Also no. He was never created by the globalists like many of the world leaders are. He wasn't groomed in a World Economic Foundation pipeline. He wasn't a product of Davos or the Bilderberg Group. But the reality is, once you ascend to global power, especially a U.S. president, you have to collide with that system. You either become part of it or you learn to play against it from within. Here's how Trump clashes with the globalist agenda. He rejected climate-based economic controls like the Paris Agreement, which globalists use to redistribute wealth and centralize power. He tore up multilateral deals, the TPP, the NAFTA, Iran deal as well, that the globalists used to weaken national sovereignty. He attacked NATO dependency, forcing Europe to take responsibility and exposing the financial imbalances in shared security. He confronted China economically, while most globalists were working to integrate China further into their vision of a controlled world economy. These are direct threats to the long game of the globalist elite. Let's face it. That's why he was attacked relentlessly, not just by the left, but by the entire transatlantic elite structure, including corporate media, intelligence agencies, and foreign governments. But here's the nuance. Trump still operates within that system. He still uses big banks. He still had globalist-aligned people in his cabinet, like a Kushner or a Pompeo. He still made deals with entities that are part of that machine, because you can't govern at that level without touching it. You just can't. He's not owned by them, but he's not untouchable either. Like Putin, Orban, or even Bolsonaro, Trump is an imperfect populist. He fights against the globalist machine, but he's had to compromise at times just to survive that machine. So it is possible to be truly independent from the globalist, is it? No, in short, it's not. Yet. The globalist machine is embedded in central banks, global finance, big tech, big pharma, legal systems, international courts, supply chains, and media. Even if you're a sovereign leader, you still need planes, semiconductors, fuel, and financial systems. So the game becomes, how much sovereignty can you reclaim without getting completely crushed? This is why many leaders are forced to play both sides, publicly resisting while privately maneuvering, because they know if you step too far outside the system, you disappear. We've seen it. So what is Trump really? Trump is a wrecking ball that globalists didn't anticipate. He isn't perfect, obviously. He isn't pure, but he is disruptive, and he remains one of the only political figures in the West who's actively cost them ground. And that's why they fear Trump.
All right, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this whole situation that's going on with our government? Thank you, and bye-bye.